Hey friends, welcome to our channel Creating Essence. I am Megan and I'm so glad you're here today. Today I'm answering another question that came about from my How I Make an Income from Home video that I will post in the info box below about being a doula. And that question is, how did I become a doula? I recently posted about what a doula is, which I will also put a link to in the info box below in case you're interested. So how I became a doula, the pregnancy and labor and delivery of my first child, was very difficult. I had an incredible care provider, but I was totally unprepared. I was struggling with some trauma and it was really, really difficult. And my postpartum time was very difficult in healing. I had physical healing that needed to be done, and I dealt with postpartum depression and anxiety for about 4 or 5 months. When I found out I was pregnant with my second, 14 months later, I was determined to just learn all the things and really figure out how to do it differently this time around, because there had to be a way. And that was quite the rabbit trail. I read so many books and studies and went to meetings and talked to women who had all sorts of birth experiences. And again, I had a fantastic care provider who gave me so many incredible resources for my own learning. And by the time I went into labor with my second, I can't even describe to you the difference in the experience and how I was able to cope. And I think from about halfway through his pregnancy, I was what people would deem a birth junkie. Kind of obsessed with all things fertility, pregnancy, labor, delivery, postpartum, all the things. I just felt so strongly that my experience with my first, despite having such a wonderful care provider, could not be the only way that it works. There had to be things I was missing. So I became informed. And after that, I just kind of never stopped. By the time I was pregnant with my fourth, I was learning how to encapsulate placentas and processing my own placenta when my fourth was born. And that was the first time that I did not have severe postpartum depression and anxiety. So I really dug in even more on the postpartum side of things and traditional Eastern medicine, because it made so much sense. And I just kept studying. I had always figured, maybe when I'm done having kids and my kids are out of the house, I'll become a midwife. But it was always kind of a pipe dream. And then when our fifth was born, he was born in the second trimester and he was not alive. After quite a bit of processing and healing, I decided to pursue becoming a bereavement doula, which is not something I had ever heard of before. But when I looked into it, I found it's a thing. It is someone who walks with people. I ended up finding a program that was not only a full and comprehensive birth doula program, which felt so incredibly right and in line with my dreams of someday becoming a midwife, but it also was a very unique dual certification in becoming a bereavement doula and walking people through the processes and their options when they're losing a child, or when they have a child with a terminal diagnosis, or when they're facing an extended NICU stay. Because there are a lot of nuances to those types of situations that I dare say a solid 99% of people who have never walked that path don't grasp and cannot possibly. So that's when I really dug in to becoming a doula. And it took me a year to earn my fully accredited doula certifications. I learned so much in getting out into the professional world in the year after that. And I became so incredibly grateful for what my certification offered and what it taught me. And I'm not here to do any kind of advertisement. I will put a link in the info box below to where I got my certification in case you're interested in taking a look at it. But I did a lot of research before I chose a doula certification program, because you'll find if you start looking into it that there are many certifying organizations and many training courses. They can be everything from a 2-year process that requires multiple free births to a weekend cram session about birth where you come out with a certificate. It's up to you to decide what you need and want from a program. And one thing you'll notice is how they set you up to practice if you're actually prepared when you go out into the world to begin practicing. The number one thing that I found was that I had to find a training organization whose values I could align with. Values and standards I 100% believed in. You also want to look at what is required. Is it simply a weekend event where you come away with a certificate from a printer saying you're a doula? Also look at feedback. There are so many places. There are some really big names in the doula training world that you'll hear dropped constantly. But if you actually look at the feedback and the message boards where doulas are actually discussing their training and how they were prepared to go into the world, and there's probably no program that is going to be the be-all end-all. But don't just assume because there's a big name on a certification and it's well known that that's inherently the best. And you also need to look into the recertification process. Almost every program is going to have a recertification process. Sometimes that means, every 2 years you have to attend one of their teaching seminars. It may only be offered on the opposite side of the country from you, and going away to the opposite coast for 4 days may not work for you. Some of them are just a big exam, kind of covering the basics and making sure that you're keeping up on continuing education. Then there are others that don't require recertification, but rely on a community of all of us staying together, continually educating ourselves. There are so many things to take into account when choosing a certifying organization, and there are a lot of options. For me, when I did my certification, I had 4 little kids at home to take care of, and I was homeschooling, had so much going on, but I was able to dedicate an hour a day to working on my studies, whether that was nap time or an hour after the kids are in bed at night, or you just have big sessions over the weekends. I always made it work, and I made sure to take my time. That's one reason why I chose a self-paced course, because I wanted to make sure that I had time to really dig in and understand everything that was being asked of me so that I could serve families well. Because ultimately, you may pass your tests, but if you don't actually study well and aren't a diligent student, it's the families you serve who are going to suffer. And I was not willing to sacrifice any family's experience just to get it over with. For me personally, it was very doable to be able to complete my training in a year and begin practicing. But everyone is going to be individual, and you need to find a certifying program that works best for you. I would love to hear in the comments below if you have any questions for me, if you want clarification on anything, or if you have any other topics relating to being a doula that you would like me to address or questions I can answer for you. I'm happy to answer them in the comments below in a reply, or to do another full video on it to really give you a full explanation. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me today. If you like this video, as always, give us a thumbs up so I know that you like what we've got going on here, and subscribe to hang out for more. Bye-bye, friends.